Good morning, people. It's Thursday morning, and I hope you're ready for a great day and our devotion this morning. We're talking about some of the tests that God takes us through, and I begin by saying this. I'm always impressed, I don't know how you feel, about people of action, people who see a need and people who just get sick and tired of sitting around and say, well, let's just do something and trust God for the result. They don't wait for a blinding light or a voice out of heaven. They just say, man, this is the right thing to do. Let's get out there and do it. These are the tests of the men and women of action. Now in 1 Samuel, we read about Saul getting himself into a lot of trouble, doing a lot of wrong things. Samuel getting upset with him and telling him that he wasn't going to be the next king. And then we read how he gets into trouble with the Philistines. He tests them and he provokes them. And he finds that they're a lot stronger than he thought they were. So the Philistines, on one occasion, they surround Saul. And Saul is down in the valley. He doesn't know what to do. He's sitting with 600 half-trained, unequipped men. The Philistines are looking like a mean fighting machine, and they're surrounded. And so Saul does what he thinks is the best thing. I guess he calls a prayer meeting. He says, guys, we need to meet underneath the pomegranate tree. So he finds somebody with an ephod, and they go down and they have this meeting. Jonathan, Saul's son, who had actually done the provoking, maybe he felt a little bit of responsibility towards the situation at the moment, but he was clearly sick and tired of just sitting doing nothing when he realized there was a big enemy out there and it was time to do something. So he says to his little armor bearer, he says, hey, listen, why don't we sneak out of the prayer meeting and let's go and do something. So the armor bearer said, well, what do you want to do, Jonathan? He says, I want to climb that cliff there, and I think we should go and have a fight with some of those Philistines up there. And so the armor bearer says, well, how do you know if this is the will of God? He says, well, I don't really, but here's the deal. If we climb up the hill and we beat them, we'll know it was the will of God. And if we climb up the hill and they beat us, we'll know it wasn't the will of God. And you love that logic. Anyway, the armor bearer says, hey, I'm with you, Jonathan. Let's go. And so they climb up the hill and they kill 20 Philistines in a short space of time. And they suddenly realize that these are the good things that they should have done. They were men of action. They weren't going to sit down there, blame, lick their wounds. They got out there and they did something. Despite the very apparent and very obvious, really big needs that they were out there, they had the courage of their conviction to say, we got to do something. Now, I love that about some people. Some people, like the majority of the Jewish army, of the Israelite army, they ran and they just hid, man. And they let's just cover ourselves with a bit of a prayer meeting. Let's do some religious stuff. And in the hopes that maybe some divine deliverance will come. Jonathan said, we got ourselves into this problem. I think we need to do something to help get ourselves out. And so it's not that he didn't trust God. He just said, got to do something. Let's see if God's on our side. And so he did that. Now I wonder, as I look around different ministries today, how many ministries have been born out of that? No direct word from God, no direct command from him, no big Bible verse, no organ music and stuff. They just knew we have to do something. The situation is so desperate that we need to do something. Let's just get out there and do something. And so Jonathan leads the way, just him and his armor bearer, as an example, not just to Saul, but probably to us. Have a look around the world. Have a look around your life. Have a look around your business, your community, and see if there isn't something that maybe you should be doing. Maybe there's a challenge in the community. I loved a story I read in the newspaper recently of a man down the road here who was sick of potholes. And so he said, listen, we can't look at the government to fix these things. They're not going to fix them. And so he got out there and he began to fix the potholes in the road outside his house. And I thought, man, that's a really good thing to do. No bolt of lightning, no big thundercloud, no big voice out of heaven. Just do the right thing. And he did it. And as a result of that, the community have rallied and said, hey, if he can do it, so should we. And I wonder if that wouldn't happen if we did more of that in the context of the church and the world around us today. Just look for a need. Look for a need, address that need the best you can, and just see what God may do. If it's successful, God was with you. If it wasn't, doesn't really matter. No consequence, no problem. Have a great day, people. Let's think about Jonathan today. Go and read his story in 1 Samuel chapter 14. It's a great story. Have a fantastic day. Bye.